Welcome to Perspectives in Peds, or PIP for short, your go-to podcast for insights into paediatric practice. From clinical approaches and emerging research to the everyday wins and challenges, we bring you OT perspectives that inform, inspire and spark conversation. Hello, Keely and Josh.
Hello, Katie.
Welcome back to PIPcast.
Thanks for having us.
That's all right. We are here to talk about assessing engagement and participation in the school environment. So, for short, what a classroom observation looks like.
What
the
we actually
fancy
do
term.
as an OT, right?
Yeah, this is a huge part of our role, at least here at Kid Link. I know that this looks different for different OTs and different clinicians. For us, we regularly, I say us, I often don't get out to schools being part-time. It's much harder. But as a team, we're regularly going out to schools and assessing engagement and participation. So we thought it would be a helpful topic to have a chat about and help other clinicians particularly as well know what on earth we're doing when we go into kids' classrooms as well. So I thought we'd kick off by your thoughts or perspectives on what the purpose of an OT observation in the classroom or school environment is.
I guess it depends. I think there's multiple reasons that we might head out to the classroom. Often I would say that it's information gathering. It would tell us more about a goal that we are working on. We see, kids in a one-on-one clinic setting, which is so different to how they may be engaging in the classroom. And so, to be able to go out and see it, see them in that environment tells us a lot more about that particular goal that we might be working on. So I guess, it's particularly helpful if we have a school-based goal, which is often when we'd be heading out there. But there's different reasons in terms of funding that we may go out to help schools in that area as well. But mostly I would say it's around information gathering.
Yeah.
I find as well, like to add to that, if we're and we've spoken lots on the podcast about like therapy planning and goal setting sessions that we do with families. But I find often through those conversations with families that it comes up to go out to the school for like information gathering to inform a goal.
Yeah.
Where am I starting my intervention? Where's my therapy plan going? So that I have a full picture of what's going on. What are they like in the school environment, whether it's from a social perspective or like a classroom engagement, learning task engagement, whatever that might be as well.
Would you say that you more often recommend an observation or have them requested by like the family or the school themselves?
Because I've held my caseload for quite a while now, it's often a collaborative discussion to go, hey, I reckon it'd be a really good chance to come out to the school again to see where things are at. If there's a new teacher, getting to know them, I find going out on an observation, I get to have those discussions with teachers. Like you can say things in reports and emails and whatever else, but to have that face and like that recommendation coming from a person rather than just a computer screen goes a really long way. And it shows you're on their team too.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but like recognizing that relationship and starting to build the relationship with the teacher is kind of like a byproduct of an observation as well.
Yeah.
I think it happens sometimes organically as well. Like sometimes it's like Josh said, when we're setting a goal and then we get to, okay, so if that's our goal, what's it looking like now? And often then the parents are like, I don't know.
I don't see them at school.
Yeah. And it's then like, oh, okay, well then maybe we should look at heading out and see, I can head out and see what that's looking like.
Yeah. And coming back to my first question, like purpose-wise, like Josh, you make a good point there that the purpose is always with to support the child, not to go in there and which again we'll come back to, but not to go in there and let the school know what we think they should be doing better specifically or anything like that. And really creating that sense of that we're all working as a collaborative team here.
And like for any teachers listening or like how often do we go into the classroom and get that like it almost feels a little bit defensive of like, oh, I'm doing this or I'm trying to do this. And like these walls start to go up a little bit because there is the OT and I can so like understand where that like idea comes from. But understanding that we are so on the team, we just want the best for the kid and like I want to help you as a teacher, but I also want to help the kid and just make it a really collaborative space.
Yeah, because acknowledging that I don't know how they do what they do.
I was literally about to say, I know, Josh, you're very like closely related to multiple teachers. Like I think most of the time I come back from school observations, I'm like, whoa, couldn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my dad's a teacher as well, and we'll often have chats, and it's the same both ways. Like he goes, oh, yeah, what about you? What do you do? And then I go to him, and it is like we want to work together as best we
it's
can.
putting the brains of everyone together, isn't it? So when we go out to a school, like what does it actually look like usually, typically?
It looks like sitting at the back of the classroom or like stealing a seat from a kid, or I shouldn't say stealing a seat from a kid, but
No, but sometimes it's not even a chair, and I'm
to.
like, is this child awake? Can I use their small chair?
Yeah, big time. And kind of like I take my laptop and take observations on as many different skills, domains as I can. I'm often typing the entire hour observation that we're doing, and then I'll get the chance to talk to the teacher afterwards. But I want to know things, and I bring in an OT model of like PEO. I want to know what skills I'm seeing from the child. I want to know what I can see in the environment, what things I can build in the environment, what recommendations I might have for the environment, but also like what tasks is going on or what occupation are they doing and how can we support that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I often say as I come in to the teacher, like, I just want to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, don't announce me. I don't want to change anything about the day. I want it to be an ordinary day for them to be able to accurately see what it's looking like. I think often teachers can jump in and be like, oh, do you want to see this or what do you, and I'm like, nope, just do you and do normal, and I get to see what that looks like.
Yeah. I would also say for majority of the times, the kids or clients that we're going to observe, they might turn it on a little bit for like 5 minutes, but then typically they go back to their everyday functioning for us to see as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute. Like you walk into the classroom, sometimes you get a little wave.
Sometimes you get a complete
or you
ignore.
Get nothing.
Oh, God, why is my OT here? Yeah. Usually if you go into a prep classroom, you'll have 12 people come over. Who are you?
Yeah.
Are you blah blah's mum? But yes, typically from the surface, it looks like we're just sitting there typing away.
Yeah.
But yes, you make a good point as well, Josh, that for us at least, we really try to have at least 10 minutes with the teacher. It's never enough really, but just to touch base, see from their perspective if they can give us a quick answer, how they're going,
And
what
often
things
the
are
question
doing.
starts with how are they going with?
Yeah.
It's how are they going with work tasks that they're doing.
Yeah.
Or like they might be doing a writing task. How are they going like typically with a writing task? It's like we're not peering over their client's shoulder to actually see what work they're producing. We're just seeing how they're engaging with it.
Yeah.
So like to get more information about what the product is and what the outcome is, it might be how are their other friendships? Like we're only seeing this small section of the classroom. So it's, how are they going with social? How are they going with work tasks? How are they going with planning? How are they going with generating ideas? Like so many different, depending what our goal is, right?
And I would say that point, like the conversation with the teacher sometimes is the most valuable bit.
Yeah.
Even if it is the 10 minutes, I find it the most valuable. And I totally, again, for the teachers out, I know that can be quite annoying. If anything, we've come into your classroom and then we're like, oh, can I grab you for a second?
And it's like either during the class time when they've got 24 students or we're like, can I have 10 minutes of your break time?
Yeah. So I completely acknowledge that, but it is so helpful to gather more because, again, we are only there for an hour or so. So I know that that's also not always an accurate picture of what the kid's looking like typically. And sometimes we do get them putting on a bit of a show for us.
Yeah.
And so chatting to the teacher about their day-to-day is really helpful too.
Yeah. How do you both prepare for a school observation?
I feel like we're pretty privileged here. We've got a killer template of all the potential things that we might see. Some of the prompts are in line with the funding model.
Yep.
Which kind of acts as a dual purpose, but like under headings and making our own subheadings related to the goal, but like social executive functioning, classroom engagement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And largely I find hot spotting or like getting some kind of internet connection when I'm in the classroom is really tricky. So I've got a blank doc with copying those headings across that I can just type away.
Yeah, mostly the same, I guess. Just being across what we are working on, anything that I want to communicate to the teacher as well. Like I think that's a really important one, especially if it's a bit of an older child and I am going out and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be chatting with your teacher. Like, is there anything that, we want to be working on, or we want your teacher to be knowing as well. Like, so yeah, I can find that really helpful to go in being prepared of knowing what I want to communicate as well.
Yeah. We also have like our email templates and stuff are really clear in terms of like, this is what we'll be hoping to get out of it in terms of, 50 minutes in your classroom. And then, do you have capacity for that chat? And is it better to do that at the start or the end so that teachers can also feel a little bit more on top of us being there? We're an additional body in the room.
Again, I think we're lucky that our admin team do so much of the work in terms of like initiating the contact with the school. So we'll come out of a session going, hey, I need a school obs here and here and here. But the work that they do to kind of set the scene, know what we're going into classroom for, like super thankful and grateful for.
Yeah.
But that can't be taken for granted as well, because a lot of the legwork has already been started and initiated there as well.
Yeah. Oh, and arranging it is so tricky.
It is.
Every school's snack and lunchtime is different.
Wouldn't it be
like
nice if it was just a universal
10:24 they start recess or something. So yeah, definitely shout out to admin for all they do in organising them.
Yeah. When we go to schools, and I know we've touched a little bit on it already, but what are we actually assessing as OTs?
I think what Josh touched on before in terms of the PEO model, that captures it perfectly. We are truly looking at how is this child functioning based on their own skills, the environment, and the tasks that they're doing, what's working, what's not. I
think the key thing that we have as OTs and why we really benefit from the school observation is taking that functional lens on what we are seeing. We can understand, and we've got so many like frameworks and models hidden behind what our observation is. And I definitely have like Ross Green's stuff and like lagging skills or whatever it's called now in the back of my mind around like what kinds of skills are contributing to the stuff that I'm seeing and that we've spoken about in session beforehand. To look at the function of that and what's it actually looking like in the classroom.
Yeah, I think as well, it's nice to be able to see what supports are currently in place as well, whether there are any adaptations or modifications in place. Is it actually working for the child? Because a lot of the time we might reach out to teachers and they might say like, we're doing X, Y, and Z. How consistently is that happening? And does the child actually use it or access it and that kind of thing? So it's nice to be able to see so that we can give tailored recommendations as well. Like I can see you're using these supports. Maybe we could try using it in this way rather than recommending something and they're like, we're already doing that.
And it's like seeing the usability of the things that they are using. Like as you said perfectly, Katie, can we tweak things a little bit or like keep doing this because it's working really, really well.
Yes.
And like the function of whatever strategy they're already implementing or that we have or we've spoken about or we've used in session, we can go and say, hey, this is working really well in the classroom as well.
What about the environment? When we go out and we observe a child in their classroom or yard as well, what are we thinking about when we're observing them in that environment, and how does the environment actually play a role or impact a child's function? What might we look for?
First things I always see, and it's become a little bit of a theme in my recent school obs, is like the sensory implications and like the sensory tools that schools have. And they're becoming so much more common. But like, again, the usability and the function and the specificity, I would say, related to the client that we're going out to see and how they're using it and what things kind of fit and match their preferences. So like, for example, wobble stools so often, they're used and they're available in the classroom and like lots of kids like to use them and like from a movement preference point of view, but this kid might become like really, really heightened with movement and just kind of asking questions to the teachers. Have you noticed like whenever they've used these wobble stools, they've come away from the work task and they might be like, again, really, really heightened and they, I haven't noticed that. I haven't thought about that. It's kind of that kind of environmental education, I would say is a really big one.
Yeah, I think there's lots of things like that, like wobble stools or cushions that come in and so people go, oh, great, and just like give them, but actually working out when's it working, when's it not, what's the purpose behind it, totally. Then I just think in general, just things like where are they sitting, like back of the classroom, like front of the classroom, what's the environment, like the the classroom setup like.
Yeah.
Often it can be, pretty stimulating, a classroom.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's why I walk away from those sessions being like, I couldn't do that, because it is noisy and it's bright and it's smelly and it's all the things.
It's the posters, which is awesome. But when we think about it, there's a lot going on in the classroom.
When we think about the types of kids that we typically support, often they do have sensory differences and perhaps even sensory challenges in terms of the impact that the sensory environment is having on their function. So we're looking at it through the lens of how can we support that child to have their sensory needs met so they can do what they need to do in a school day as well. When we go to schools, like we said earlier, when we're actually there, we might come up against some teachers that perhaps have their guard up or feel as though our presence may not be needed, that they don't need an external provider providing them with recommendations or strategies on how to, I say, quote, do their job. That's not specifically why we're there. But how do we navigate that? And how do you guys work through that as the OT in the room at that time?
Yeah, it is really tricky. And when you actually think about it, like if someone came in to my session and was like telling me, oh, have you tried this? It would be, really frustrating, I guess. So I try and see it from that. Like I think that helps me and I really try and just empathize with that and sit with and go like you're doing amazing and like this, or I try and find the things that are working and going great and go, this is working awesome, and validate that. And then just, I guess, look for the gaps and go, I want to help. And in what ways can I best help you, I guess. Yeah.
I think it's a way that we discuss our recommendations and the supports that they're putting in place as well. Like it's showing the understanding that I understand that there's 25 kids that you have in your classroom and you can't be spending, all of this one-on-one time. You can't be using all these visuals every second moment. And kind of having that perspective of their time is really divided. So how can I come up with a strategy or even just show a level of understanding to the teacher of hey, I get it. It's really, really tricky. But if we can do these kinds of things, it's going to make the rest of this session a whole lot easier because you're not going to have to be across and supporting this client in as many ways that you are. We can get really proactive here and kind of let you divide your time to the other kids in the classroom as well.
Yeah. There has definitely as well been times that in that moment, like we said before, you're in the middle of teaching, there's 25 plus kids in the classroom, that I've been able to go, this is just not the moment that I'm going to be able to have that conversation. And so I've been able to say to the teacher, I would love to grab you and chat, but I know it might not work now. Is there a better time? And then whether that's just an email or whether we've been able to organise a phone call or meeting at a different time, which has been really helpful. And I think even just that, because again, I think of it the same level if I was in a session dysregulated and someone was asking me, definitely not the time I'd be taking on advice.
Yeah, can I tell you how to do this in an easier or better way?
But
no, thank you.
After session, once I'm calmed down and chatting through with my supervisor, sure, I'll have that conversation. So I see it that way as well. And I'm just like, okay, maybe now's not the time, but when can be an easier time to chat?
Yeah, I like to lean on our training in coaching as well in terms of asking permission to share strategies, knowledge, information in terms of do they actually want something from me or do they just want a space to be able to kind of say, hey, this is really hard for me at the moment and,
I like that.
I'm trying this. So I think, being able to – I think that shows that we're also validating their experience when we say I've got a couple of thoughts. Would you like some suggestions? Because ultimately we want to be a team. That's the goal, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. How do you think OT observation differs from, and it's hard because we don't know how psychs and speechies operate in terms of their observations, but what are some of the key principles of an OT observation and how do you think it might differ from another clinician going in to observe a student?
I would say straight up function based.
Yeah.
And our functional lens that we take on everything that we're seeing. If we're looking at the function of whatever goal and whatever kind of participation that we're observing, that is going to be the big difference. Like, and I'm fully aware that, psychs have and we work in a similar space around emotional reg, but again, having our functional lens looking over like the participation and where is this impacting, how are they able to access this, how are they able to participate in this?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of our difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Great. I feel like function is just at the key.
Yeah,
Core.
absolutely. Yep.
So then if we take following our observation, we're typically writing like a report to some degree of what we've observed and then ultimately what we recommend from there. How do we find that balance of like providing practical and realistic strategies for teachers to implement, particularly when, they have a large classroom full of children. Perhaps they have, statistically, we know there would be multiple kids in that classroom with additional learning needs as well. How do you find giving practical strategies versus just like what looks good on paper, I guess?
I feel like my recommendations really come based off the conversation that I've had. And so I can find it really hard if maybe I haven't had that chance to have the conversation. I find it harder to, not just write strategies that might sound good, because I really try and tailor, like we do try and personalize our recommendations. They're not just generic slap-on recommendations. These are things
we
have.
did used to do as well. Like we've actually really worked towards sometimes less is more when they're individualized and tailored to the child versus just a stack of like generic sensory strategies or that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, totally. These are things that like I've thought about for this individual. And so, sometimes it does depend on how much I've got from the teacher or the observation as well. So I can find it harder depending on how the observation's gone, what I've gathered from that. But I think what you said, like less is more, and actually really thinking about what I saw, what could be practically implemented, and what do I think is something that the teacher or LSOs in the room could be implementing.
I think the only other thing would be to work kind of within what the school frameworks are. So schools often have like an individual learning plan, or there's lots of different acronyms for them, but knowing what those goals are and knowing how often schools are coming back to those, teachers spend so much time writing those and developing those. So if there is anything that we can add recommendation-wise that fit into that learning plan, I feel like if we can recognise the importance and how relevant these recommendations are to fit within the learning plan, it also goes a really long way, because teachers are like, oh, cool, I didn't think about that. They can go straight into the learning plan and be carried out as like a school-wide documentation for the specific kid.
Yeah. I always find sometimes when I'm discussing something with a teacher, a strategy or a tool or something might pop into my brain. And rather than sort of just like giving it to them on the spot, I'll often let them know what it is, but then say like, I'm actually going to trial that in my next session so I can see if I think it's a good fit for that child in the classroom as well. And I've had a lot of success with that, because then the child kind of knows what it is as well. And then I can say, would you like me to give this to your teacher? Maybe you and your teacher can have a chat about how you could make this work at school. So, I think, like we said, less is more, and we really want them to be practical and not, generic in essence, I guess.
And just super tailored and individualized to the client, so that like everyone's getting the most out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think on that, like the follow-up is going to be really important as well. And it might not always be a follow-up meeting or anything. It might just be an email, but actually like following through with your recommendations sometimes as well, which I'm not always good at. Like we're busy too, but it's important.
So hard for everyone to like have accountability for next steps when we're not working in the same environment as well. And then I find it hard for the family as well, because they're kind of just that middle person that's like, I don't know if the teacher's using that, I can ask them and that kind of thing. So how do you, or have you had success in any particular way in terms of like follow through, follow up, maintaining that rapport and relationship with teachers?
I think the first thing that I think of there is like the importance of following through of what we've spoken about. So if we've had the chance to have 10 minutes to, have a bit of a chat about what's going on, and whether it's providing education, talking about a resource or anything along those lines, our ability to action that as quick as possible and get that resource to the teacher, or like actually commit to what we've said we'll do. that the teacher gets a whole lot of buy-in around that because they've seen, oh yeah, this OT knows what they're doing. They're like really quick to reply.
Yeah.
You get that teamwork buy-in, and then you start to get the back and forth emails with the teacher. The relationship starts to build, and then it flows from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good points, Josh.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't have anything to add.
I think as well, like if they do have an ILP, like you said, Josh, like when it's the recommendation or the strategy or the tool is written into something where there's a review date of that and that kind of thing can be really important. Was that what you were going to say, Keely?
No, but I remembered what I was going to say.
If anyone's not watching along, Keely just threw her hands up in the air. Go on, Keels. Add your thought.
Sorry, it's not even related, but it just came to my mind and I'll forget it again. No, I was just going to say, I think I also put a big focus on supporting and facilitating the parents to feel confident in advocating.
Yeah.
I think we do, have a big
huge.
role of saying recommendations and collaborating with the teacher, but I actually also just want to build the capacity of the parents so that they feel confident in advocating.
Yeah, you kind of want to find that balance of like advocating but not feeling like they're just having to be that middle person relaying therapist information. It's hard, but when a parent gets it, like that's our aim, isn't it, as well? That
absolutely.
they feel like they've got the skills to be there.
So it's actually not that, like I will step in and I'll support as well, but there's also a part that I want to give you the capacity to do it yourself too.
Like we say it at the very beginning of any therapy journey, like one, we want to like educate and empower you to feel like you are your own OT at home, but you're also the expert in your child. Like, yes, I'm this external provider, I've got all of this knowledge, but it's really, really powerful you being the expert in your child if you're the one advocating for your teacher with your teacher.
All right, random question. Have either of you ever done a school or classroom observation that has completely changed your hypothesis of your client?
Yes, I absolutely have. It was a client that we had some social goals around, and it was a really I would say like a tricky space to be as affirming as possible and getting their insights to what things they enjoyed with their friends, how they hung out with their friends, so that we could form goals which align with their like social preferences. What mum, family, and what the kind of client was kind of leading on to, I was like, all right, I need to see what's going on at school. I need to know and understand what's happening, because what this picture's kind of painting, I'm not 100% sold on, but I just need to, as we said at the start, like gather more information. When I went out to the school, he was having the best time. He had his group of mates. They were having so much fun together. It was like reciprocal. They had activities. It was it was really, really lovely to see. So following the observation, I went back, did a family session, speaking to mum, and we're like, do we actually need to have this social goal? Like, from everything that I saw, we're having a really great time. And like what he's reporting, like he's not generating any ideas of things that he wants to work on. And I so see that now. Like, again, he's having the best time.
You needed to actually see it though.
He's hanging out with his mates. He's got his activities, his social preferences. It seems like he's understanding. He may not be able to clearly articulate that, but he's found his little group of mates that all fit in and align with his preferences. They've all got similar preferences. It's sweet. So we parked that social goal and moved on to something else.
I love that. And it's a really nice example, because often I feel like our go-to for that kind of question would be like what did we miss, or what additional goals do we need to set? But that was more like actually we don't need to set that goal. I like that, Josh.
Yeah, it was really it was a nice observation to do.
Yeah, I possibly not like that. I guess I've definitely had cases where their engagement in the one-on-one clinic setting looks very different to school. But that's probably been predicted, I guess, but still helpful to see, because sometimes it just looks really different.
Yeah, I've definitely had clients where how their engagement has been described by the parents looks very different. And that's no fault of the parents, other than perhaps they're just not being made aware of what their child's functioning looks like in the classroom. Perhaps sometimes I've seen more support needs than what we thought. That that kind of thing. So it can be really helpful to actually see it with our own OT lens as well. What about, is there anything that you have observed or commonly observe that surprises you or perhaps even like slightly concerns you about how learning environments are set up for kids?
I think surprises, I'm always surprised at the noise in classrooms. And like from a auditory preference point of view, how that's supported. I think everyone becomes like quite accustomed to the noise level that's happening within the classroom, and like you're part of the environment, you're not really noticing it, but like as an external support coming into the classroom, bringing it back to the teacher's awareness, like, well, there's a bit happening here. It's loud. And like, I haven't even noticed it. So like if we, again, go back to what we're talking about in terms of like understanding sensory preferences of the clients that we're working with, again, just bringing awareness to those things, that's often the thing that sticks out to me.
Yeah. Any thoughts for you, Keels?
I think just overall, like, I think it's come to just be expected that, you know, kids go to school and school's great, which it is, obviously. But the demands that are on, like, and the expectations that are on children is huge when you actually like
a school
sit back
day
and
is
think
really
about
big.
it. It's huge. Yeah. So I think just that overall, just from as little as wearing a uniform to, or not even little, but like wearing a uniform to following instructions, keeping track of belongings, all the things. It's a big day.
Yeah. I also think that school days, and I know there's been this like never ending debate that like a 9 till 3:30 like sometimes just doesn't align with a child's like body clock and learning preferences. And typically, you know, if I'm thinking about a lot of the, you know, mainstream public schools that we do go into a lot, like a lot of the sort of literacy numeracy happens early in the mornings and specialists is typically in the afternoons. But for some of our kids, like early morning is not the time for their cognition to be really switched on. And I think we're moving in the right direction in terms of schools being more open to thinking flexibly about timetables. And I know we've got a few schools that we're linked in with that have like 3 breaks instead of just 2 breaks, or just different things, because there's not one child that has the same learning needs as the next.
No.
And
it's also given me another like idea, Katie, of like the use of break times. Like recess, lunchtime, they are such social times and
often
like,
more demanding.
Like from a social point of view, absolutely. But like the social demand that's also within the classroom. So if you've got a kid that's having a bit of a hard time with some social stuff, and like the social demand is really impacting on their regulation, I mean, you've got the whole like lesson, and then you're like doubling down on a recess, and then you're coming back into the classroom where there is still social demand, and then you're doubling down again going into lunchtime. Like the social day is huge. So like no wonder we're getting to the end of the day, or we're getting back home and we're exploding because we've had this demand that's really like there's a lot going on. So again, that's a really, really big thing that I'm often going, wow.
Well, I think we've had a lovely chat about school observations. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
For anyone listening as well, if you've got more questions about what OTs do in the classroom and that kind of thing, please drop a comment. I'm just thinking, I don't think we really have any resources or anything to link in our show notes for this one in particular. Maybe we'll pop Ross Green in there because Josh mentioned it, and we always love Ross Green.
It's the first time he's been not the first time he's been mentioned.
Absolutely. But thank you, Keels and Josh. I hope to see you both back on the couch very soon.
See you soon.
Thanks, Katie.
See you later.
Bye.